So, hello everybody, welcome to the part of 99 Percentile. This is the podcast which is going to change your life for the better. I'm your host, Manu Nicholas Jacob, and we have our guest with us, Mr. Carlo Guzzi, and we are going to be starting off the podcast here with a bang. So, Carlo, can you tell us about yourself and what you do?
First of all, Manu, really appreciate you having me on your show and look forward to today's discussions.
Great. Yeah.
So basically, what I do, I'm a sales copywriter and marketing consultant. So the idea of my service is that I improve my clients' messaging with persuasive words, which includes a storytelling twist. So it's all about engaging the reader with interesting copy. So it's a very interesting job that I do.
And with just as a basic question, in the current scenario with the coronavirus going about, how do you describe a typical working day in your current role?
Yeah, well, basically what I do now is I do a lot of branding activities. For example, podcast interviews. So that's why I was very excited to be on today. So, but most of my activity is mainly on LinkedIn. So a typical morning is answering. I get hundreds of notifications every morning when I wake up and even at night. So, and I've started to kickstart my Facebook group and my normal sort of page as well. So it is hard to keep up with all the social media platforms, but on some mornings I'll try and, like, for example, today I started the morning with some sort of exercise routine because I knew that I was speaking to quite a few other people, and so that my energy is up. So that's important too. And if I've got client work, obviously I have to make time for that. But the typical day is mainly spent on social media, really.
Yes. And now you have a good amount of experience in your career and what you do as well. But if you were to go way back, what would you have wished you would have known when you started off in the very beginning?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, you can always do things better in retrospect. So I have a lot of small business experience. A lot of that I had no really training for it. It was kind of something that, it was a family business, so I kind of was thrown into it really. But so there was no training courses. But if I have to go back, I think I would have liked to have knew how to do things better, in the sense of, perhaps we could have hired a coach from the beginning. But I think in those times, even in the early 1990s, coaching was not what it is sort of today. But I'd say that's probably the number one thing. And I think I should have been better at delegating, because we're proud Italians, we tend to do a lot of the activities in our own business without realising we harm ourselves because we're doing too much.
Yes. And when you also talked about how you have to, like you were interested, it would have been a great thing to have a coach to learn more, to be more curious. So I believe that amount of curiosity, the ability to learn more, is still there in your present day scenario as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing more learning now than, say, when I was 20 or 30. I wouldn't say that I wasn't learning new skills then, but now I'm much more curious. But obviously the event of Google and the online or the digital world we live in sort of makes us sort of more aware. But generally I do invest a lot of time, and currently I do have a coach, and I do turn to other people now. So there's a lot of very educated, smart people on LinkedIn that I speak to almost on a daily basis.
And if I were to ask you what you are curious about right now, what would it be?
I'm curious about many things, but it's really hard to pinpoint one thing exactly. But I mean, I'm always curious how people think, because that's important understanding when you're selling your product or services. So understanding the psychology of people. So I've always been curious by that. Right now, I mean, I guess I'm curious about social media like everybody else, but Time management, that's something that I'm always working on. So I'm also curious about that. But yeah, I've just got a general curiosity about human beings, really. So without pinpointing one subject.
And now you have worked on your profession, you've worked on helping other businesses as well. So if there was some other in the present day scenario as well, if there was some other profession you would like to attempt, what would it be?
Okay, yeah, it's a good question, that one. Not sure that I'd like to be a CEO, but it does always sound appealing. But if I had to do something else, it just could be something like, teaching, where you're teaching people. It could be, even a like coach of a sporting team. I've not really actually thought about it, what I do, because, I love, marketing and sort of copywriting so much. It doesn't leave me with other options, that I think of. But if, just consulting work, even being a business consultant, or, more like a mentor coach, because really I don't really do that currently. But yeah, a mentor coach would be good to a, say, Fortune 500 company.
Yes. And now when we look at your the career, and you would have obviously set a lot of goals, a set of tasks, and if there was some big goal you would like to talk about, which you have achieved, which you have worked towards and you've achieved over time, what would it be?
Okay, goals that to achieve from now onwards. Is that what you mean?
No,
Or
I mean, over your career, is there a certain goal, like a big goal, which you have worked towards and achieved and overcome that?
okay,
Yeah.
I always had a generalized goal. So my goal was to be successful, but I found that I had to take a lot of detours um, to really get there. And I'm still always working on that, so it's not really finished.
Oh,
So yeah, when I worked or ran a sort of family business, that wasn't something that I planned for. So that sort of, in a sense, fell on my lap. So I kind of made the most of that opportunity. So I worked around that. So just my goal was always to improve my thinking and think better. And I guess challenges that I overcome. Well, yeah, there were many challenges in the past running that business. So the challenge is, to make that would have been to make that business successful, and hiring staff and trying to make things work. So it's very generalized, not a very specific. I didn't have specific goals saying like I wanted to be a LinkedIn influencer. No, I never really had specific goals to say, well, I want a double-story house or want a Porsche car. So one thing, I never set material goals. It was more to just always, the goal was to better myself. But yeah, overcoming challenges has always, been one of my strengths. But some challenges were quite difficult, to say the least.
and now, when you talk about setting up or being better the next day than you were the previous day, now you would have somewhat like a schedule and somewhat like a plan at least to prioritize your tasks. So, how do you kind of prioritize your tasks in a given day or in a given week?
Yeah, well, a couple of years ago, I did have it was called a daily planning sheet, because I did a business planning course as one of America's leading business coaches, very smart guy, Alex Sharpan. And so it was quite comprehensive. So I used to do that every day. And yeah, I just stopped doing that. I think I stopped doing that last year. So I'm not always consistent, I must admit, with routine, but recently I've just started just on a pad, and it's just called an achievement list. So I just write, even the night before I go to bed, I just write 3 or 4 things that are important to do the next morning, so I don't have to think about them in the morning. And then when I get up the next day, I just add other things that come to mind. So I think it's just to jot things down, otherwise you forget, or your mind gets very muddled up, if you don't write things down.
Yes, and I think this also works in the same kind of method as there's the pretty big influencer, is a coach as well named Vince Del Monte, who talks about how your most important tasks, like it could be 2 to 4 most important tasks, if they are done in the beginning part of the day, like if they're written the previous day and you finish them in the beginning part of the day, then the rest of the day is smooth sailing because the rest of the tasks are not as important as the tasks you finish in the beginning part of the day. So I think that also slightly comes into play in jotting down a list and trying to tick off items off a list as soon as you finish them, right?
I mean, it's there's I don't really have a set order, but I think if you can't finish all the tasks on one day, it's like I don't get upset, and so if it's something that hasn't been done, it means it can be left for the next day. So the most important thing of the list is don't be confined to it, but just make sure you do the important things. Because I find I'm juggling quite a few different tasks, and it's quite easy just to forget even things like putting dishes away. So because I work from home, it's important to keep the house in order, but business tasks are generally better done in the first couple of hours of the day.
Yes. And now, along your journey, if there were some few resources which have greatly helped you, what are they?
In recent years, I've read a lot of books, and since I think 2016, so probably close to 100 now. I think there was one year I was trying to break some record because I heard about very successful CEOs reading 60 books a year. So I think I've read probably more than that. In the last year, I've listened probably more to Audible. So like using that app, and recent months I haven't actually listened to or read a book because I'm just so focused and busy on what I'm doing right now. But definitely reading is it's very important, or even watching YouTube videos. So I've started rewatching YouTube, so get a lot of inspiration there. And there's plenty of great people on LinkedIn, so that's another great source. But many sources, but I try and self-motivate myself every day, so I don't try and rely too much
on the other sources.
Self-development videos. They're just like I see them as a kind of bonus.
Okay. Yeah. And now when we talk about again the people who have inspired you and motivated you, are there a few important people who have been most influential in your life and who have inspired you to a much greater level than others?
I guess that because my dad was an entrepreneur, so I was obviously influenced by him a lot and inspired by him, but I still maintain my own identity. So I would do things a little bit differently. So I mean, he's obviously like up there, sort of number one inspiration. But in recent years, there's been lots of people. I mean, there's a lot of great motivation people. Like, for example, I've more or less got into Tony Robbins a little bit later, so I like some of his videos. I mean, currently in the last year, I've been heavily influenced by Evan Zia, who's one of the top LinkedIn influencers. So there's quite a few influencers on LinkedIn that are very good. I mean, there's probably a few other people that don't come to mind right now, but it's just mainly there's quite a few copywriters that have been influential, like my copywriting mentor Steve Plummer. He's outstanding. So he's outstanding what he does, and even as a person. So to me, I admire him because he's just very down to earth. So I do admire people like that they're very skillful, but they're very humble people as well.
Great. And also along your career, when you have worked your way up to the level you are right now, you would have seen other people who have worked their way, but when they hit a dip in their lives, they kind of feel really unmotivated, they almost give up and such. So what is a really common reason for people giving up like this, and is there a way to kind of avoid that?
I don't think you can really avoid it because it's happened to me. I mean, I've, went from working for myself for a long time, and then I worked for companies, and then I was made redundant, I think 3 jobs in a row. So it wasn't really that long ago that happened. So it was quite surprising and, disappointing. But yeah, dips, yeah, I've had a dip. So how you get up, it really comes down to how determined you are, but it's not really as easy to say, well, I'm just going to get off the ground and suddenly become motivated. It's you have to work on it, or yeah, you just kind of got to work on your mindset, or maybe do some courses and build your strengths up, or skills. I mean, so you can only do the best of what you've got, and but why people get in a dip, sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes it's something didn't go well in a company that they work for. But if you keep improving, you maybe not going to have as many dips. But yeah, I would say don't rely on one job or one skill.
Keep learning
That's
new
probably
things.
the best way to avoid it.
So that's basically the ability to learn new things, take new courses, talk to new people, and things like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like even spending up to an hour on personal development a day sort of helps,
Okay.
type thing. If you've got time, so you can do half an hour in the morning or half an hour at night. But dips are going to happen, but we don't want them. But yeah, just keep on. What I've found's worked for me in the last year, just continual learning and not getting, when things don't go well, is not get disappointed, but you just got to keep working. I think that's the best advice is just try and keep busy, really.
Okay. And if you were to say, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career kind of similar to yours?
Yeah, it's another good question. Yeah, I mean, it's like different strokes for different folks. So yeah, for me, it wasn't something I could say that I planned to do to go into marketing. It was a gradual thing. So if someone wanted to enter this field, I would say, yeah, just don't go into it and think about the money side of it. Yeah, just go into it because you want to make some positive impact on the world. So yeah, don't really focus on the money, but just focus on how you're going to help people and how you're going to make people's lives better. Because yeah, when you focus on that, it tends to be much more rewarding than always thinking in a materialistic way.
Mhm. So that's the amount of positive impact you can create to the most number of people around you as well, right?
Yeah, just make a positive impact. I mean, even if it's, you know, copywriting slightly different coaching, because that's more like a coaching type philosophy. So yeah, if someone wants to enter this field, I'd encourage them to be positive. So it's to try and inspire people, because even as a writer, that's your job, is to inspire people. But yeah, because there's always room, I think, for positive people. But if they outnumber people who are not so positive, it's definitely a better world for everyone.
Yeah. And now we are coming somewhere near the end of our podcast as such. So is there anything else you would really like to add for our eager listeners and our eager viewers out there?
Yeah, I mean, I can leave some closing thoughts. Yeah, which is probably in addition to what I already mentioned. Yeah, so yeah, when you choose your career, just think about, or before choosing it, just think about, obviously what you're passionate about, and even if your passions don't come to fruition in a year or two, yeah, just don't give them up. So yeah, just keep your vision going, and yeah, that's why you need personal development, because that'll supplement your vision. You do need the fuel, to achieve success, and always learn from people who high achievers, but obviously try and stick to your own kind of personality and just be yourself, but yeah, always learn from other people, but yeah, don't feel deflated if your achievements don't compare. So yeah, basically, yeah, don't compare to yourselves, and then if a career doesn't work that you had your heart on, you can always pivot into something else. But yeah, never be shy to ask for help, but yeah, make sure you ask the right people.
Okay. And it's been amazing having you a guest on the show as well, and I thank you for being a guest on the show as well.
It's been great and lots of fun, and yeah, really enjoyed myself today, and wishing you all the success with the show.
Thank you. So for content like this, don't forget to follow our website at part299percentile.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Manipulation Blogs. And don't forget to also follow our podcast on the various other podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So remember, I mention this in every single video. Visions, goals, tasks, and relationships. Work on these 4 things every single day and you will improve every single day. So signing off from now, Manu Nicholas Jacob from Part 299 Percentile.